right, well, it's a Friday, distance learning, and we've been talking all week about the 90s and violence. We talked about Oklahoma City bombing, we've talked about Waco, we talked about riots in LA, and all sorts of things. Today's lesson is one I wish I never had to teach. U.S. history, we talk about big topics and wars and in countries far, far away. This one is closer to home to us all, isn't it? Because it's about Columbine and how that changes history and how that affects us here in Bennington, even. So today we'll have a short lesson on the last of the major outbreaks of violence in the 1990s and one that changes history, sadly, for the worse. Today we're going to take a brief look at Columbine and school violence. Columbine High School, 20 April 1999. I was going to a teachers meeting in Omaha. I was teaching Omaha Public Schools, and I went to Lewis and Clark. We had a meeting after school, and I had been busy all day, and I got to the thing. I got inside, and all the teachers are buzzing. I go, "What's going on?" And they go, "You didn't hear?" I go, "No, I didn't." And right after the meeting, I went home, turned on the TV, and there it was. And I was just shocked and brokenhearted. A high school in Colorado. Columbine's in Littleton. That's a part of Denver. It's a nice part of Denver. It's a nice school. I mean, I have relatives growing up, lived in Littleton, would go and visit. Well, in 1999, on the 20th of April, two students of Columbine High School, Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, decided that their life was horrible, and they decided to get revenge for all the anger and everything that had been done to them, they thought, and they planned a horrific attack on their high school, on their peers, on people they knew. They planned it out. They bought weapons. They cut off barrels. They got ammunition. They planned it. They decided to put bombs in the cafeteria. They had some propane tanks and some stuff. And they wanted to kill as many people as possible. They wanted to make a statement. They'd been called the Trench Coat Mafia. There were a bunch of kids that just didn't fit in, that didn't belong to it. They thought they looked at themselves as outsiders, and they would make everyone pay. But on this day, these two Trench Coat Mafia guys decided to attack their school. Well, they came to the parking lot, geared up, and went into their school. They shot people in the parking lot, at the door right going into the school, and in the school itself. The worst of the attacks in the school were in the school library, where students were huddled under desks and tables, and they hunted them and they laughed. At one point during their attack, they talked about jocks who had tortured them or did bad things. People wore white hats, and they asked them all to stand up, like you would stand up when you're terrified anyhow. But their killing wasn't really, it was just senseless. They were just killing people, just hurting people. In the end, they killed 13 students. They killed 12 students, a teacher, wounded 21 more. It was a tragedy. It was horrible. Should never have happened. But that wasn't where it stopped. Columbine changes everything. There's always been violence in schools and violence in America, but this was an attack in a school by kids. When we talked about the 1950s, we talked about the guy from Lincoln, Charlie Starkweather, and how it shocked America that you could have a mass murderer that was a teenager and his 13-year-old girlfriend. Well, this shocks America too. This is kids, high school kids attacking other high school kids. And those images we saw on TV of the Columbine kids being evacuated from their school, the crying, the families that were so worried, it changes America. It changes schools. I wish I could say this is a one-time thing. It happened and we learned our lesson and everything's good. We've never had another one. But you know that's not true. The legacy after Columbine is sad. There's going to be a website on Classroom I'm going to have you go to, and you can just look at all the attacks since then, all the shooting. Some of the worst ones, though, 2007 at Virginia Tech, a college, 33 were killed, 23 wounded, when a gunman started stalking the people on college, and people who were trapped in classrooms that couldn't escape were ruthlessly shot. Newtown, Connecticut. If you look down below, there's the picture of the kid that did it. killed his mother, took their weapons, went to the school, and attacked kids. Most of them first graders, some of them kindergartners, young, innocent kids. Look at the pictures over there. The horror of it, that one person could cause so many lives. And each one of those kids, think of their families and how their life was just changed forever. 2018, Parkland. That wasn't so long ago. You kids remember seeing that. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. When a gunman went in, 17 killed, 17 wounded. Look at the pictures. People with their lives ahead of them. What they could have been, where they might have gone. All snuffed out. Here in Omaha, Millard South. A kid was suspended, got angry, went home, got a gun, came back, and shot up the office. Killed people here in Omaha at Millard South High School. And these are just the big ones. When you look at the smaller list, I mean, the shootings with smaller numbers, the one website that is on the classroom, there's just so many. It's just too many. It's endless. And it's not ending. Every year, very sadly, there'll be something else in the news. And luckily, this last couple of years, there's been a couple shootings that were foiled when students or teachers or resource officers were able to tackle these people before they killed more. But Columbine has changed education. No longer do we have that sense of safety or security. The school is a safe place. Very sadly, these people have ripped that safeness from us. Education is just never going to be the same. A lot of campuses have gone to locked campuses. We here at Bennington, that's what we do. We lock the door. You have resource officers. We have resource officers, and our Douglas County Sheriff is just an excellent guy. And Deputy Baker's awesome. I love him, and I feel so much better that he's here. And so many other schools. When I was at Burke, it was the same thing. Our resource officers became an important part of the campus, an important part of the day, because you need that now. Education has changed. When I was a kid growing up, you never did worry about like police in school or that much violence. Now it's just a matter of how education has changed. In some cities and in some districts, they have metal detectors at the doors. I remember my last year at OPS, when I was teaching OPS, we went to a basketball game. They had metal detectors at the games, and people coming in, spectators would have to be, empty their pockets out. And there was more than one time I saw people walk in the door, saw the metal detectors, and walk right back out. You can kind of figure why. So that sense of security, the schools are a safe spot. It's hard. I'm a parent. I want to believe that my children are safe and that school is a healthy place. Well, society, to give us that, parents, that sense, we've had to go on to a lot of different measures. We have lockdown drills. We have new security measures. And schools all across the country have changed. Very sadly, you're living in history. It's a new era. Something your parents, when they went through school, didn't go through. But history is history. It's not always good. On the classroom, I'm going to have some links for you. I want you to go into looking at some of the people that survived Columbine and their stories. There's a video there that if you'd like to watch, Columbine Zero Hour is a reenactment. It's got some real and it's got some reenactment, but it's one of the most shocking, horrible, but it'll help you understand the Columbine attacks. If you want to watch that, you sure can. I'm not going to require it because, it's shocking. There's going to be articles about how many school shootings have been since then, and there's some other things to look up. This is a lesson in history I wish we didn't have to teach. I wish we didn't have to teach about school violence and how everything changed, but it has. So take a look at the classroom for some of the other things to look at for more supplemental things. Next week, 9/11, I guess.